Well, hello, my friends. Happy Sunday to you. Today I'm doing a really fun piece, but I just wanted to tell you that these images here, this is the new collage pack, and this is just a few of the pages. And then that main collage sheet that I'll be using is going to be free in the resource library, and you can get that there. You can also sign up for the resource library to get that on the blog or on the links that I have on my Instagram. But right now I'm starting with an 11 by 14 gessoed MDF board, and I'm using some carbon black fluid acrylic by DecoArt. And I really struggled with this background because there was a lot of texture on it, which I wanted, but then it just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And I decided to just kind of show you the process because not every single project goes as planned, but if you have the confidence to stick with it and see it through to the end, the results can be beautiful. So I'm trying to pick up the paint through my stencil, and as you can see, it's not working. I'm using alcohol. I tried everything. It was not good, and so I kept at it for a while and then decided, alrighty, I got to do something different. The texture with the gesso was just too much to get a clean pull up of paint. So I went back over it, sprayed some alcohol on it, and just kind of smoothed everything out. And that was much better. And just kind of rubbed out some of those weird spots and areas that I did manage to get through the stencil. But then just kind of put my alcohol down and toweled it off, and it left some speckles, and I like that. So now I'm coming back in and I'm creating the same look with Prussian blue and a little bit of gesso. I just wanted it to be soft and light all the way around, so that the focal point would really stand out, those beautiful butterflies. I didn't want to take too much away, but I wanted there to be something. I didn't want it to just be flat black. So I lightened up the color as I went around and added a little bit more gesso to my Prussian blue. And my paints that I'm using are fluid acrylics by DecoArt. The same with the gesso, matte medium, and all of that is all DecoArt. So I'm using my Garden 2 stencil here and just creating that area around where the butterflies will be. And so now I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to really kind of grunge up this collage sheet, which is again going to be free for you in the resource library. And I'm just using my brayer and some gesso and just kind of pushing that pattern back. I want it there, but I don't want it to be too much in a focal point. And I use that just regular piece of copy paper to press down on top of that paint that I brayer on, because it mats it down, it softens it up, and it gives it kind of a monoprint kind of look without actually doing the monoprint. So now I'm going to add some burnt umber to my gesso, and of course give it a little bit of grunginess. And I'll go back over this again with a little bit more just plain gesso to kind of lighten it up a little bit so that that dark doesn't seem so dark. So I forgot to turn the camera on, but I tore the main piece and I put it down with my matte medium. And then I did kind of just a quick little bit of umber wash around the background to kind of tone again down even just a little bit more the pattern in the background. And now I'm using my brayer again to just add a little bit more interest and highlight around the edge of that piece, because I wanted some contrast behind my butterflies, because I cut out my butterflies and a lot of them were kind of blending in, and so I wanted a little bit of softness back there to kind of help those butterflies stand out just a little bit more. aging up the edges, and I will age the edges a little bit more once I get the butterflies down, but I wanted to kind of blend that back into the piece so that it didn't seem quite like this piece of paper just stuck right onto my substrate. And I'm using burnt umber and gesso and a little bit of teal. Now I'm going to take those gorgeous, gorgeous butterflies and put them down with my matte medium. I did take a picture of them. I had them laid out so beautifully, and they nothing ever goes back the way that I planned. So I took a picture so that I could get them back in the same area, at least, as I had originally laid them out. Now I'm using my vintage postage stencil to just add a tiny bit of movement around that piece and just kind of lighten that background up a little bit. And I felt like the stenciling was too bright because, again, I want it to be subtle. So I just kind of wiped it back a little bit. Now I'm coming back in with burnt umber and now really grunging up all the edges and really shading that in. And I'm kind of bringing everything together, blending the backgrounds in. And adding some charcoal to further define all of those edges of those butterflies, really to make them pop and stand out. And then I'll come back in after I get some shading done, and I'll use a gel pen, a white gel pen, to further highlight those butterflies to make them stand out even more. I hope you pop over to the resource library and grab your collage sheet, and there will be a coupon in the resource library and then the email that I send out to the subscribers for this gorgeous 8-page butterfly collage pack. That's all bright butterflies. It's gorgeous. So I hope you can take advantage of that. You can sign up if you're not a subscriber. You can sign up on the blog, and links in my Instagram. Just a few little speckles of white to really give it that kiss of brightness. And that's it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and stick around. I'm going to talk about what inspired this piece. And if you did like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. All right, lovies, this just makes me happy. I don't know, butterflies I'm not sure what it is within me, but they just make me happy. This gave me, the first layers gave me so much problems, but ta-da, everything happens for a reason, right? So the story behind this is, this last week I was at the store and I was waiting in line. I was at the deli counter waiting in line to get my cheese and my meat and stuff like that. And there was a lot of people just kind of standing around, and nobody had really made a decision. So the guy behind the counter looked at me and he said, "Do you know what you want?" And I said, "Yes, I do." So I just told him what I wanted, and this lady next to me starts yelling at me. She's like, "We're all waiting in line. We're all waiting in line." And it just so jolted my, because I'm usually always kind of in my little happy butterfly world, just, you know, doing my thing. And I was taken back. And immediately I was like, gosh, you know, and I got defensive. I didn't say anything. I just was like, okay. And I said, "I'm so sorry. He just asked me," you know, and I kind of explained that no one was making a decision. And she goes, "Well, I'm next." And, you know, she kind of argued with me, and I was just like, "Oh, that's fine. That's fine. You know, I'm not in a hurry. Just, he asked me." And I felt kind of wounded at the moment. I just was like, wow, that was just like out of the blue assault. And I just wanted to say something kind of hurtful back. That was kind of my initial instinct. And I didn't say a word because that's not my personality. But in my head, I was saying all kinds of things. And so the guy finished up my order because he was already in the process, and this lady next to me was just giving me the what for. And I got my stuff, and I quickly got out of that space and kind of roamed around the store for a minute just to kind of gather myself, because I was just so, I don't know, I was just so surprised. And I had just kind of a moment there in the grocery store. I pretended I was like looking at fruit and things like that, so that I could kind of get myself under control and not be in that place. And I kind of was, every time something like this happens, and I've worked retail before, and people can be mean, and the second I show kindness, everything changes. And although I wasn't rude to this woman back, I wasn't overtly showing kindness. So I went back to the counter. Everyone was still there. And I walked up next to the lady that yelled at me, and I said, "I'm really very, very sorry. I did not mean to jump in front of you. The circumstances just presented itself. And so again, please accept my apologies." And I was going to turn to leave, and she started crying. And she then apologized, and she had just lost her husband. And she was an older lady, and she said, "I'm not normally like this, and I just apologize. She didn't need to say another word, and I just gave her a quick hug, and I said, "No worries, I will say a prayer for you right now," and off I went on my way. And it's just those kinds of things. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. So much right now, everyone's on the defensive. I feel, that's how I feel. Everyone's on the defensive and feeling like they're going to be wounded or hurt, or, you know, when you are, the only thing to do is to wound back. And if we can gather ourselves and know ourselves enough to know that that's not how we want to be, and that any time that I have ever tried to wound back, I feel crappy. I feel terrible. And so enough time of life has happened where I know that that's not the right thing to do. And any time that I respond, well, most any time, because she could have said, "Get away from me." She could have done a lot of things. But as long as I know that I have gone the extra mile to extend kindness, I think it changes everything, almost always. And it shows that we are all human, and that we all have those moments in our lives when we don't behave well. And I've been there, and I've been in a time in my life where I was angry and hurt and all of those things, and wounds were just bubbling up, and I had nothing to give but frustration and anger. And so at this time in my life, that's not where I'm at, and I can extend that kindness. And I think it's so important, my friends, to take the extra step, go the extra mile, say I'm sorry, and be kind, be so kind. Show grace and mercy. That's what inspired this. And so, my loves, I don't know where you are in your journey, and you might be in that place where you're so wounded that you don't feel like you have anything to give. That's okay. We all have that time in our lives. And hopefully that you will come across someone who can give it to you when you can't give it to yourself. Oh, those angels that are in our lives that do that for us on our journeys. And I hope that I can be that for you today, to be that encouragement, to be that kindness, to be that love and that grace that you maybe don't have for yourself or for others right now. And if you are in that place where you are graceful and not hurting and not overflowing with wounds and all of that, take the extra step today to show someone kindness. Man, it changes our world. It really does. All right, lovies, I hope your Sunday is awesome. I hope it's filled with grace and mercy and kindness and love. And I hope that you always know that you are loved.